So Donald Trump signed a bunch of anti-immigrant and anti-refugee executive orders yesterday, but there was one unrelated one that he signed that I wanted to share with you. It establishes, quote, safe zones to protect vulnerable Syrian populations. It tasks the Secretary of Defense with drafting a plan for safe zones in Syria within 90 days. So for those of you who are big-time wonks and policy junkies, you hear that and you go, huh? Because one of the things we went after Hillary Clinton for during the general election is her repeated insistence that we should have no-fly zones and a safe zone in Syria. And the reason why that's problematic is it is a clear escalation in Syria, so it gets us more entrenched in Syria, and it's also an escalation in the conflict with Russia. Now, the reason why it is, if you have safe zones and you have a no-fly zone, that requires U.S. ground troops, and that requires sending more equipment and more warplanes and all this different stuff there. And as has been laid out, and as is clear in the official government position that we've taken, you know, we say, oh yeah, no, we're totally against ISIS, but we're against Assad too. So it's to protect them from Assad, the safe zones and the no-fly zone. But also in doing that, you are effectively acting as an air force for Islamist and jihadist elements. Because there was a recent study we reported on that found that over 60% of the rebels are extremists. And I mean, they figured this out when they tried to do a program about a year ago. Oh, let's arm the Syrian rebels. And they were only able to get, like, I'm not kidding, 4 moderate rebels. And some of the people they armed went into Syria and immediately handed over their weapons to an al-Qaeda affiliate in Syria. So to set up a no-fly zone and to set up a safe zone, the whole point of that is to escalate with the Syrian government and to escalate with Russia because Russia's on the side of the Syrian government in the conflict. And again, this was a criticism I had and many other progressives had of Hillary Clinton, because it was a cloak and it was a closet way of trying to say, let's do more militarism, while framing it in this humanitarian language. Safe zone? Who could be against a safe zone? We just want safety for Syrian civilians. Well, no, as we actually learned, Hillary Clinton said, back when Obama backed off of his red line in Syria, Hillary Clinton argued, well, yeah, no, we shouldn't do a safe zone and we shouldn't do a no-fly zone because that means we have to take out many of the Syrian government planes and that would kill great numbers of civilians in Syria. So to do a safe zone and a no-fly zone, you have to kill massive numbers of civilians in Syria. And that's not a good idea. Well, then she came out, she flipped, and she was like, oh yeah, no, totally, safe zone and no-fly zone, good idea. And Trump, during the debates, was like, no, let's not do that. Let's kind of stay out of Syria. And he said, if Vladimir Putin wants to fight ISIS and jihadists, okay. But now, and see, this is where it hit me, the kind of trouble we're in. You know what happened here, right? Now you have advisors to Trump, the people he surrounded himself with, the establishment. They just slipped it in there with the other executive orders. He probably didn't even know what the fuck he was signing because he doesn't really care. So they say, oh, yes, here's one, Mr. President, on banning refugees from Iran. Here's one from Syria. Here's one on, preventing visas for people from Iran. And he's signing away. And they go, this one is on Syria it's for safety. There should be safety for civilians in Syria or something. Yeah, that's it. Anyway, sign. I mean, he just signs and moves right along. So this is, in my mind, when I look at this, I think, oh, shit. The establishment is controlling him, and he doesn't really care because it was never really about it. He wasn't running for actual policy reasons and because he has this vision. He's running because he's a narcissist. So he got the position, and now, okay, let's coast. So the people around him, the Republican establishment, they virtually all want to escalate in Syria. They all agree with Hillary Clinton on that. So now they're doing it. And this is a horrible, horrible, horrible idea because, like I said, it's bad for Syria because, if Assad falls, jihadists and Islamists fill the vacuum. You turn Syria into a Saudi Arabia-style country, which is a disaster. That's not to say Assad is good, but it is to say that the ideology of the rebels that are most prevalent right now is way worse. So if Assad falls, that's bad. This is a step in that direction to set up safe zones in Syria. And also, again, it escalates with Russia. That's the thing is people have been harping away on Trump like, oh, you're too chummy with Russia. I'm actually much more scared of the opposite. I'm scared of if Putin reads Trump as, oh, maybe I can actually go start jacking some post-Soviet states here. Maybe I could actually be more involved. Estonia, look out. And he starts doing stuff like that. And then people in the U.S., in the media, start hammering Trump as, oh, he's so weak. He's letting Vladimir Putin get away with whatever he wants to get away with. And this is crazy. We have a president who's a puppet to Russia. Puppet. Weak. Look, Vladimir Putin's doing all these things. What I fear is Trump. Yeah, I'll show you how strong I am. Send the troops. That's what I'm scared. I'm scared of the opposite. I'm scared of escalation in Syria because, these two narcissistic authoritarian personalities clash. I mean, they may have kind of a weird de facto alliance going on right now, but that can crumble like that, and when that crumbles, all bets are off, man. And I don't think Trump realizes, he doesn't realize, because he's not smart enough and he's so impulsive, he doesn't realize the stakes of this game, that you have two nuclear-armed powers. And, this is, it's a volatile time in the world. You can escalate to World War III over Syria in a relatively simple way. Over Ukraine, you could do it in a relatively simple way. And that's why the doomsday clock people just moved us to, I believe, 2.5 minutes from midnight. We were stuck at 3 for a while, 3 minutes to midnight. Now we're 2.5 minutes to midnight, which is doomsday. So, not good, man. Terrible. That, again, this was one of the few things where I said, oh, thank goodness, maybe Trump will actually help us and be better than Hillary would have been on Syria and Russia. TPP was another, and he actually came through on that one. But on Syria and Russia, maybe he takes a more hands-off approach, and maybe he de-escalates, which is good. I don't know, because it looks like he's so controlled by the people around him. And remember, he wants John Bolton as Deputy Secretary of State. John Bolton is the most hawkish neocon in the country. That may be literal. So you want that guy, the second in command at the State Department? And you want him in your ear telling you shit? Oh boy. Buckle up, because there's a good chance they also go into Iran. So this can get very, very, very ugly.